Hello everyone and welcome. So it's impossible not to have heard the word Civic because this car is a small sedan that effortlessly blends value for money, practicality, comfort and also the driving dynamics for everyday use. And the best part is that in the 2025 it's also offered as a hybrid. So this new Civic is offered in 4 different trims: LX, Sport, Sport Hybrid and Sport Touring Hybrid, and the particular variant that I'm reviewing is the Sport Touring Hybrid, which is top of the line. And the Sport Hybrid and the Sport Touring Hybrid are the only ones that are offered in hybrid variant, whereas the Sport and the LX are offered as non-hybrid only. But in terms of the design, it's exactly the same, all 4 models, and there are like subtle changes to the exterior, namely the front end and the bumper design and some bit of headlight design also, so that it looks slightly different than the previous generation. So there is this honeycomb meshed grille in the front along with the Honda badging. This is a glossy black grille. At the bottom there is normal plastic, again honeycomb grille and more opening for extra bit of cooling. And then there are these vents on the side out here, and these are the functional vents, and they are like tiny ones on the other side when you see it open. And then these sleeker headlights. So the headlights are completely LED headlights. There are also DRLs in the L shaped, and those DRLs are also LED, and the turn signals that are provided and in between the headlight and the DRLs, and they are also completely LED. And there is a camera for the active and the passive safety systems. And underneath the hood sits a 2-liter 4-cylinder non-turbocharged engine that is mated to 2 electric motors. So one electric motor acts as a generator, whereas the second one is used to power the wheels. So there is like a dedicated motor just acting as a generator. So it's a front wheel drive car only, like the previous generations of the Civics. And on this Sport Touring Hybrid variant, there are these 18-inch dual tone alloy wheels and a very simple looking design, but it looks pretty elegant. Like, it does not look like it's a cheaper sort of sedan or anything. In fact, it looks way higher than what it looks in terms of its appearance and value. And then we come to these side mirrors. These are glossy black side mirrors. They are non-power foldable, power adjustable. They have the blind spot warning on the inside and also a turn signal, and they don't have a camera or anything because this thing comes with only a single camera reversing system, whereas the base variant has the body colored side mirrors. And then when you come to these doors, the front doors are the smart keyless entry doors, so you can have the keys in your pocket and then just walk away from the car and it would lock and unlock the car automatically for you. And there are also resonators, by the way, in all the wheels, and what they do is they help in dampening the road noise and separate it out from the cabin. And there is a normal sunroof out here, and there is like a rubber mats on the inside with the Civic badging. And once we move into the rear, then there are these tail lights, which are again very similar looking to the previous generation. There is the Civic badging, Honda badging and the Sport Touring, as well as the hybrid badging in chrome, whereas the hybrid badging has this bluish color letters and design on them. And when you come to these tail lights, so these tail lights are a combination of LED and halogen. So the turn signals and the reverse lights are in halogen, whereas the signature lights, the brake lights, are all in LED. Again, even in the rear, the design is quite simple of the bumper, and wherever you look, like, there are no sharp lines or anything, but subtle lines that flow across on the car. Now in terms of the visibility, so there is the upper level and the mid level visibility, but it misses slight amount of lower level visibility, because if you look at it from the side, the rear glass is quite sloping, and as a result of that it misses out the lower visibility, and the rear is quite raised up too. And when we come to the trunk space, so you press button and open the trunk door, and again, simplicity is what Civic is famous for, and it maintains even on this generation. There are scuff plates in the back so that you don't damage your paintwork, and then Civic badging on the rubber mat in the back, and very simple trunk space. So when the rear seats are folded up, you can put 15 cubic feet of luggage in the back, and there are levers provided. You pull them to fold down the seats, but the thing is that you have to go in the front after that and then fold down the seats like this, and then there is this seat belt that remains in the middle, so it sort of diminishes the whole point of folding the seats. So when the rear seats are folded, you have this opening out here where you can put longer objects into the bag, but there are like thick curves that hinder the overall usage of the trunk space. There's also a trunk light given on the top. There's also a bit of a step here too, and underneath the trunk floor sits a tire repair kit. So there's no spare wheel, but instead tire repair kit, some more storage that you can utilize too in the back, and there is also an emergency release lever provided for some reason. But definitely a very spacious trunk space, and that's why it's so popular amongst the families. Let me put this seat back up and let's take a tour of the interior. So out here again, simple design of the door cards, soft touch materials on the top, glossy black plastic out here where I'm going to be resting hands. Again, that's leather covered, black color. This plastic insert around the switches meant to look like exposed carbon fiber, and a very simple design of the door cards too. Even on the inside, again, very simplistic experience and very easy to use cabin. Also soft touch materials everywhere, even on the top, even out here. And then I love this feature, which is the honeycomb mesh grill even on the inside, and then these air conditioning vents that are hidden behind them with these joysticks to operate. I love this design of that. And then these seats, again, black color leather seats, perforated. This handrest, again, it's in leather, and then again more insert around the cup holders with this plastic carbon fiber exposed design, and even on the steering there is leather covered material. So let's switch on the car. You're greeted, there's a bit of animation going on, and then this button that turns red when I switch on the car, see that? And then yes, the car switches on. It's gonna beep for a while because I haven't belted up myself, so it's just reminding me that. So that's how the whole cockpit looks like when you switch on the car. Now in terms of the driver's display, so there is a 10.25 inch TFT display provided on this Sport Hybrid Touring, whereas on the lower variants it's got the 7-inch screen. Only the top one gets this one. And in terms of the operation, it's pretty easy to use, and it shows you information like charge on this side, EV mode it shows you here, ready, and the safety systems and all the different information like your fuel economy and all of that. We're going to scroll through that very soon. And to change all the information on the left hand dial, so you use this scroller dial here, and then as you can see you can scroll through different menu options: phone, FM, AM, USB, Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Alexa, customized display. Can go in or just go out, hide, show, and go back, and leave it just as dials. Whereas on the right side, again, use the same scroller dial out here and scroll through different options. So the first option is the distribution of power, then the range, trip A, trip B, average fuel, trip B also same, then average speed, elapsed time, trip A, trip B, then the navigation, then the drive safety, so attention monitor, and then safety systems, and then maintenance, safety support. Again, you go inside and you can switch on the lane keep assist, the departure warnings and the collision warnings and all of that. Then go down, no content if you don't want to see anything, or if you want to convert the gauge from miles per hour to kilometers per hour, you long press this dial and then you can switch to that. But that's how you use the driver's display. Fairly easy to use, and it's also pretty bright and crisp even when the sun is falling directly on it, even though this is a TFT screen, but yes, still shows all the information very clearly. And the fuel gauge is on this side, whereas the energy meter is on the other side. And when we come to this steering wheel, so this is a leather covered round steering wheel with the Honda badging in the middle, and it's manually adjustable, which is tilt and telescopic. There are also paddle shifters provided in the back, but it comes with the eCVT gearbox, and there are buttons on either side of the steering wheel. So on the right side there are buttons provided for the adaptive cruise control, as well as the scroller dial to change the information on the driver's display, and on the left side the buttons are provided for the media controls, and again the scroller dial to change the information on the left gauge of the driver's display. And as you can see, now it's switched to the EV mode, so it shows you every single time. And the steering wheel is heated, and the button is given at the bottom of the steering wheel. When we come to the air conditioning controls, again the best part about any Hondas is the fact that everything is just dials and buttons. So kudos to that. Nothing inside the screen or anything split like that. Straightforward, easy to use air conditioning controls. So in order to switch on the air conditioning controls, press the on off button and then the center dial to change the fan speed, and hear the sound of it. So satisfying, and the dial quality is really nice, and the dials on either side to change the temperature, and in the middle the flow of air, and then the front and the rear, and even the side mirrors are also the heated ones. And then there are buttons provided on the extreme end, and those are for the heated seats. So the driver and the passenger side seats are both the heated seats, and as I said, like, you can change the flow of air using these joysticks that are provided behind this honeycomb mesh. Now when we come to the infotainment screen, so on this Sport Touring Hybrid there is a 9-inch infotainment screen provided with the Google's Android operating system inbuilt. And the thing is that on the other variants you get a 7-inch infotainment screen, whereas on this Sport Touring Hybrid only you get this 9-inch screen with the Google's operating system, and then shortcut buttons are provided on the side with the volume dial, also home, back, and the track changer. And in terms of the appearance, it's nearly identical to the other infotainment systems on the lower variant of the Honda. So color coded widgets and icons every single place, and then on the sides you can even customize and add more options to the screen, or you can even customize the main icons that you see too. So you can change any of that, and then go back and set it up. And then because this is got the Google's operating system, so that's why there are Google Maps inbuilt into the system, so you are familiar with that. Using it is quite easy and simple. Then the phone option, FM, Play Store, because it's got again Android operating system, and then there is wireless, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as Bluetooth connectivity and the USB option also. Then the Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, then the in detail vehicle settings, driver assistant, meter setup, all of these things. Then at the bottom, lighting setup, door setup, climate control, individual settings, where the driving mode that you will see later, but right now you can see you can change the individual drive mode from here. Then we go back, then general settings for the system connections, privacy, display, sound. In terms of the sound, so there are like 12 speaker Bose music system provided on this Sport Touring Hybrid, whereas on the other variants you get 8 speaker standard music system, but it definitely sounds very good. And then the sound volume, camera, single camera system, voice control, security, Google advanced setup, go back, power flow, Bluetooth, trip computer, USB, AM, system updates, because it's also got over the air update options, also Wi-Fi hotspot. Then the Honda Link, which is an app that you download and control all the features on the car, because it's got internet connectivity, so you can definitely control all the features on the car. And then compass, display mode, and all apps, whichever apps you want to see on your main screen. And then it's got some sort of sound also when you scroll around. And then we go back into the main screen, and then there are shortcut options on the side for voice control, and then maps, then the Apple CarPlay, you can change all of that, and then the brightness of the display, and then you can add and hold more options also on the inside. So that's how you use the infotainment screen on this Civic Sport Touring Hybrid. In terms of the charging, so there are two types of USB ports, one for connectivity and charging, and one dedicated charging port, and a 12 volt 180 watt power socket, as well as a wireless charger provided in the front, but no USB ports for the rear passengers. Now there is also a drive mode switch provided out here, so it's very easy to flick to different modes. So there are 4 different driving modes. So the first one is the eco, normal, sport, and then the individual mode. And if you go here on the screen also, it shows you same animation, so bright, easy to see, big broad ones announced on the infotainment screen, sport and the individual. And then if you long press this switch upwards, and then you can change the individual settings for powertrain, steering, engine sound, because it blasts some artificial sounds on the inside when you're in the sport mode. So you want normal or the sport sound, and then the gauge options also then can change based on that. These gauges change the design slightly when you go to different driving modes. So that's how you can customize the individual mode here. Now when we come to the storage, so in the door cards you can put about 1.5 liter worth of water, bit of a tight squeeze, and then some more storage on the sides. There's this wireless charger you can utilize. There are these 2 flexible cup holders. There is this glove box, it's a bit tiny but not too bad. There is also a sunglass holder, and there is also this hand rest inside which you can put your phones and wallets, and also this tray that you can change the position or completely remove and then put it inside somewhere and close it. Now there is also an SOS button for emergency purposes that's been provided, and you get a normal sunroof on this Civic Sport Touring Hybrid, as well as on any other variant also. And there are also extendable sun visors, so you get good coverage around your windows. Now when we come to these seats, so these are the black color leather seats. They are perforated seats, but from the outside, let me tell you, these are one of the most comfortable seats I have ever sat in. Honestly, one of the comfortable seats, because they are very broad and they are pretty soft also. And the thing is that there is not much adjustability options into these seats, yet they offer so much of comfort as it is. Like, they just adapt to your body. Just you sit inside and they are just so body hugging, and for longer journeys definitely very comfortable. And then even these headrests, they are like soft and squishy. And there is the perforated seats, because these are just the heated seats, not the cooled ones. And then good side support overall, and also good extension underneath my thigh also gives me good amount of support. Now in terms of the adjustability, so the driver side seat is 8-way electronically adjustable and no lumbar adjustment, whereas the passenger side seat is 4-way electronically adjustable. So let's go into the rear and show you the rear arrangement. Now even in the rear you have the same black color leather seats, perforated ones. The bottom rest has a bit of an angle, so it's slightly angular and not like a flat bench type, and that essentially helps you with the seating arrangement, because it again gives you a lot of support underneath the thigh. Misses out slightly, but still not too bad. There are 3 headrests also in the back too, and then again in the rear also pretty broad seats for sure in the rear too, because you can easily fit like 3 people into the rear seats, especially the middle seat also, because that's not like a slim one, but pretty broad too, although it's a bit raised up, and the backrest is also slightly on the harder side, mainly to do with the fact that there is a handrest with like 2 cup holders, normal ones, but one is smaller, one is bigger, and the handrest actually slopes down a little bit. But if you are sitting like into these seats, then this handrest feels like horizontal. It's just that the seats are at an angle, and the thing is that this handrest is slightly on the lower side. That's the only thing. And there's like this pocket storage on the passenger side seat, but no air conditioning vents or chargers or anything in the back, like the ports or anything. So this looks a bit plainer, like with just normal plastic. And there's also a bit of a step here, so if I sit in the middle, although the seat is pretty soft, so yeah, that makes things very comfortable even for the middle passenger. So yeah, they can switch over from the outside to the middle seat and then take turns. But yeah, definitely long journeys are still going to be pretty comfortable. And in terms of the knee room, so there is more than like half palm worth of knee room here. And in terms of the headroom, again, that's also plenty of that. There's a bit of a cutout on the top so as to increase the headroom, but definitely somewhere about 6 feet 2 inches will only then be touching their heads against the ceiling. Somehow Honda has managed to give you so much of space, comfort, everything on the inside, as well as give you lots of trunk space also. And you cannot slide your legs a lot underneath the seats, just about slide. So during longer journeys you can stretch your legs also. Now in terms of the door card quality, there's like normal plastic out here in the back, glossy plastic here where are going to be resting hands. That's black color leather cover, and then around the switches again there is this plastic insert that's meant to look like carbon fiber. And if you notice, there are buttons for the heated seats that are given on either side. So the rear passengers on either side get the heated seats, and that's one more benefit during the winters. And in the rear door cards you can easily put 1.5 liter worth of bottle. But overall, a really nice space to be sitting in the back too, and not just in the front. And the best part is that the seats are super comfortable, so none of the passengers are going to be complaining about getting tired inside this Civic. So this 2025 Civic Sport Touring Hybrid is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that is mated to 2 electric motors, one that acts as a generator and the second motor that actually delivers the power to the wheels all the time. And the way the car functions is actually pretty interesting, because most of the hybrids, they would work as an engine and then the motor is assisting, but on this it majorly works as a motor first, and then the engine most of the times just acts as a generator. And which is why when you try to accelerate, it's got a lot of oomph for sure, because in terms of the power generation, this combined system produces 200 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque. And because the car is so lightweight, the power delivery is quite instant and smooth, and this entire powerhouse is mated to an eCVT transmission that sends the power to the front wheels. There are also paddle shifters, but it mimics sort of the gearbox. But what's more interesting is that this eCVT, again, that's also very quiet. It's not the usual grumbly one. So even if you are using the paddle shifters, it mimics the gear shifts quite well, as if you were actually changing the gears. So overall, the whole delivery of power, how smooth it is, and because most of the times it works as an EV first, so that's actually pretty interesting concept. Yes, once you accelerate, the engine would take over, and then the engine also would give the power, but it's majorly the motor that delivers the major power. Now in terms of the efficiency, so on highways, on long runs, I've managed to get like 3.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Yeah. And within the city mixed runs, I've been able to get 4.7 to 4.8 liters per 100 kilometers, and long-term average is somewhere between 5.6 to 5.7. But that's a very good fuel economy that you can expect from this Civic Hybrid. And yeah, that makes it one more point that will make it even more, a solid deal for you to seal. Now when we come to the suspensions, so the suspensions are a mixed blend of comfort, and also they offer the sportiness too, because once I accelerate, or if I put this thing on sport, yeah, the power delivery is instant after that. And even I can hear some sort of passive sounds that are being generated from these speakers and blasted inside so as to mimic the sportiness. But I don't complain. Yeah, it's fine. It's really nice dynamically that this car drives. And even the suspensions, yes, they just give that nice balance all the time. The chassis underneath is also a really good one, and as a result of that, it gives this very nice combination of fun driving for daily use for sure. And if you want comfortable driving also, that's also available on this. And when we come to the steering, so there is an electronic steering, and it's very responsive, it's very nice, and nice weight to it. It's got so much of feedback to it, even though it's an electronic steering, but it just proves you can calibrate it to like this level where it's very responsive and gives you almost like a hydraulic steering feeling, and in a nice way, because at lower speeds, yes, it's very maneuverable also. And in the sport mode, yes, it's become slightly stiffer also. So yeah, pretty satisfied with that setup. But the thing is that the hybrid variants, they have slightly longer turning radius of 11.6 meters, whereas the non-hybrid ones, the LX and the Sport, they have 11 meters, and that was pretty evident when I was driving it, because I found this one to be having slightly longer turning radius for sure. But anyways, that's all right. Now when we go to the brakes, so there are 4-disc brakes, and the brake pedal is pretty progressive. It functions quite well. The brakes are also quite bitey, and yeah, strong braking action too. Now when we come to the noise and the vibration, so the front glass is laminated, so it keeps things quiet, and there is a bit of tire noise from these tires, even though they've put resonators, but that is on the highways you would hear it, but still pretty quiet for yeah, a small sedan. And in terms of the wind whooshing, again, that's also kept in check. But yes, overall the NVH levels are going to be quiet on the inside. Now when we come to the safety systems, so there is a single camera reversing system, and I want to discuss that because the quality of that is absolutely horrendous. It's really bad. It's just so dark, and you really cannot gauge anything from that camera, and it's got this square sort of layout when it starts up on this 9-inch screen, so it really doesn't consume the entire screen. You can select different options like the wide angle and the top view angle and all of that, but still the camera, we are in 2025, the camera needs to go. It needs to be binned, and something really nicer and crisp option needs to come in here. And yeah, maybe 360 as an option would be nicer. But yeah, that single camera is really grainy, dark, and even in daylight, and sometimes I've not been able to even gauge the distance because it works very weirdly, because even if you're closer to the object, it still shows you that line, and then it slowly goes closer to the wall. So yeah, but there are parking sensors in the front and the back too, and there is also child ISO fixed points in both the rear seats, and there are 12 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags even for the rear passengers. There are 4 curtain airbags given in the pillars in the front and in the rear too, and there is also the driver and the passenger side knee airbag too, and there is the ABS, there is blind spot warning, there is the front and the rear collision warning, pedestrian warnings, the adaptive cruise control, and there is also the lane keep assist, lane departure warning. So all of the standard systems are also provided on this top spec of the Civic Sport Touring Hybrid. Now in terms of the pricing, so the base variant LX starts from 30,850 Canadian dollars approximately. I'm gonna put the exact pricing on your screen, whereas the Sport variant comes in at 34,600 Canadian dollars. The Sport Hybrid comes in at 36,500 Canadian dollars, and this top spec, the Sport Touring Hybrid, comes in at 40,062 Canadian dollars. And in terms of the pricing, if you ask me, there are like very few cars that justify the price tag. This car definitely deserves that justification, and definitely should be worth checking out, because let's be honest, not many cars are left in the $30,000 bracket, although yeah, it's not going to be a hybrid. So if you want the hybrid, then Sport Hybrid is the one. Maybe not the touring variant, but the sport hybrid where you have smaller screens, if you can do with that. The sport touring hybrid is perfect because for 36,000 Canadian dollars, you get a car that's completely decked up still, and it looks absolutely fabulous. It's got the tech, and it's got the comfort, it's got the practicality, and it's going to be hybrid, so it's going to be so much more efficient. On a full tank, I'm able to get somewhere between 650 kilometers of range, and that's incredible. It's going to be a daily driver. Then there is no doubt that you should go for, if you're especially looking for a small sedan. And to be honest, if there was an award which will be like agreed internationally for a car, just one car that needs to be awarded, then definitely this Civic Hybrid is the one. It's clearly one of the top car in the small sedan segment, and you should definitely try this car. And I mean, I don't even have to tell you, because as I said, this is a known name and it's established itself in the segment, so there is no doubt that it is going to disappoint you. There is something for everyone in this Civic. That's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to this channel by clicking that red subscription button and clicking the notification icon so that you get all the notifications when these new reviews come up on the channel. And make sure to press the thumbs up button if you like this video. I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye, take care, and drive safe.